As Iran lays mines in the Strait of Hormuz, has a spooked U.S. quietly pulled its key mine-hunting combat ships away? The U.S. Navy has positioned its dedicated mine countermeasure ships, including USS Tulsa and USS Santa Barbara, much farther from the Strait of Hormuz in Singapore port. After U.S. allies flatly refused to send warships or expand missions into Hormuz, is America now backing down from its own war plan? As Trump taunts non-responsive allies and Brussels insists it has no appetite for war, is the Iran conflict starting to expose the biggest cracks inside the Western alliance in years? Amid the escalating Middle East conflict, the U.S. Navy appeared to make a notable and potentially strategic repositioning move near the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. minesweeping vessels assigned to the region shifted further east, moving from Malaysia toward Singapore, according to a report by TWZ. This movement included the USS Tulsa and USS Santa Barbara, both of which had previously arrived in Bahrain within the past year. Local observers and ship spotters recorded the arrival of these two littoral combat ships in Singapore on March 18. U.S. authorities stated that the combat ships are currently undertaking a scheduled maintenance stop while docked in Singapore. Earlier, on March 15, images circulating on social media showed both vessels positioned at Malaysia's Port of Penang. Independence-class LCS ships are fitted with a mine countermeasures mission package for hunting and clearing sea mines. The package tows mine-hunting sonar behind the ship to spot and classify underwater mines. Unmanned surface vehicles fitted with mine-sweeping gear are used to trigger or clear mines at a safe distance. MH-60 Seahawk helicopters carry sensors and neutralization systems to detect and destroy mines from the air. The repositioning came at a time when Iranian attacks had already disrupted and effectively halted maritime traffic through the Strait of Hormuz. Reports indicate that Iranian naval mines continue to pose a significant and ongoing threat to the long-term security of the vital waterway. However, the exact scale and extent of mine deployment by Iran within the strait remains unclear and unverified. Separate reports stated that U.S. forces destroyed nearly 10 vessels believed to be involved in laying mines on March 10. Experts noted that relocating minesweeping ships away from Bahrain may have been a calculated and precautionary operational decision. Bahrain, particularly the capital Manama, lies well within the strike range of Iranian missiles and long-range kamikaze drones. U.S. military installations in Manama have reportedly faced multiple Iranian attacks since February 28. Prior to this, Washington had urged both European and Asian allies to assist in securing maritime routes through the Strait of Hormuz. However, U.S. President Donald Trump stated on March 17 that such external assistance was no longer necessary. Trump's message read, quote, "I wonder what would happen if we finished off what's left of the Iranian terror state, and let the countries that use it, we don't be responsible for the so-called strait. That would get some of our non-responsive allies in gear, and fast." This development also followed the European Union's decision to reject expanding its naval mission Aspides into the Strait of Hormuz. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer similarly indicated on March 16 that it would be challenging for the Royal Navy to commit additional forces.
Iran is now waging war on global economy. Ministers reaffirmed today that our focus is de-escalation and also to the freedom of navigation. Now, restarting the shipments of fertilizers, food and energy through the Strait of Hormuz is another urgent priority. Today we discussed options to better protect the shipping in the region. EU already has naval operations in place. We have Aspides that plays a key role in safeguarding the freedom of navigation. There was, in our discussions, a clear wish to strengthen this operation, but for the time being, there was no appetite in changing the mandate of the Operation Aspides for now. This is not Europe's war, and this situation in the region, we have the Operation Aspides, as I said, in the Red Sea. The discussion was that it should be strengthened because it doesn't have too many naval assets. It should have more. But the discussion on whether we are also extending this mandate to cover the Strait of Hormuz to go north from the Muscat line, there was no appetite from the member states to do that. As I said, this is nobody wants to go actively in this war, and of course everybody is concerned what will be the outcome. What was stressed as well was the diplomatic outreach to have solutions. We were also discussing with the minister from India what kind of experience they have in this regard, and whether there could be possibilities to really take this forward. There are so many players at stake when it comes to the shipping. You have the insurance companies who are also reading papers and saying that, there's a huge risk, so the prices go up. There's also the crews of the ships. So captain is eventually making the decisions whether the ship goes and takes this risk or not. So if they are not, assured enough, they are not putting their crews at risk, and nobody can force the crews to go to the dangerous situation. You have to have, concrete, tangible results to show that now it is, peaceful and safe to go through. It's not only the assessment whether we are the enemies or we are not the enemies. It is very complicated, and definitely all the European support for a diplomatic solution. Then we discussed war on Ukraine. Moscow stands to gain from higher energy prices and the diversion of air defenses from Ukraine to the Middle East. Ministers were clear that Ukraine remains European top security priority, and attention for Ukraine will not be allowed to fizzle out.
Let me deal with the Strait of Hormuz, because obviously that's one of the pressing issues of the day. It's something I discussed with President Trump yesterday on the phone. There have been discussions going on in relation to a viable plan. We want to make sure that involves as many partners as possible. That's been our stated objective here, particularly talking to European partners, inevitably talking to Gulf partners and to the US, because we need a credible, viable plan if we can. And as I said a moment ago, this is, to say the least, not easy. It is not straightforward, and therefore we have to make sure that we've got that credible plan in place. As to what the precise options are, as I say, mine hunting systems of ours are already in the region. We've already spoken about what we can do in relation to anti-drone capability. But this isn't just about what the UK can do. It's about how we play a part in bringing others together behind a viable plan. So that's where we're at the moment. Well, we're looking through the options. It is difficult, of course. It's difficult. There's no hiding that. But that's what we're working on in terms of a viable plan, because ultimately we need to get the straits opened. Otherwise, the price of energy will remain very high for reasons that everybody understands. So it's part and parcel of what we're doing on the cost of living.